Hello Facebook. Hello Stampin' Up community. I'm just seeing whether I am actually live. Yay, I am. Hi Mum. Thank you for jumping on because that means I'm definitely live. So I will start. And good evening and welcome to Izzy's Crafty Bees. I'm Izzy Szczecinski and I'm an independent Stampin' Up demonstrator for here in the UK in North Nottinghamshire, and you're very welcome to my channel this evening. And yeah, I'll start as always by saying a warm welcome, and it is warm, not as warm as last week, so hopefully I won't be melting all over the craft room floor. This evening we're going to be making a start on our Christmas cards in July, which is highly hilarious because I used to be the Grinch and now I am cured. So we'll have a chat later on anyway about all things Christmassy as we go along. But I'll start as always by just saying a few things that have made me feel happy this week. So the weekend was particularly fab and fun. On Saturday we had a family party for my sister-in-law Susan, who turned 68, and that was lovely. We were in the garden. We were able to enjoy the slightly cooler weather on Saturday in the garden. And then on Saturday evening Andrew and I dog sat for our next door neighbours who had a night away from home. So we had Ellie, the adorable Labrador, staying with us. And she's just fabulous. She's 11 and a bit, I think, and she's just so gorgeous. So it was lovely to have a dog in the house again. And I also have managed a couple of bike rides since I last did a live last week, so that always makes me happy. So how about you? What's made you happy this week? I'll just do a couple of name calls. Let me just see who's watching. Hi Brenda, hi Sylvia, Sue's watching. Who else can I see? I can see a couple of people have said hi to Mum, so thank you. I can see I've got a few watchers at the moment. And of course, as always, if you're watching me on catch up, thank you for joining me and watching me on replay. And if you're watching me on catch up on my YouTube channel, then please give me a like if you enjoy the video, and give me a subscribe by clicking the subscribe button. And if you also hit the tinkly bell button, that will mean that you'll never miss an episode of Izzy's Crafty Bees crafting, because you'll get a notification. It's obviously your choice whether to watch or not, but at least you get the notification. And by subscribing to my channel, that means that content to YouTube remains free to view, so that's always really helpful for me and other YouTubers. So what's happening at the moment? Just a very quick reminder. Oh, hi Barbara, nice to see you. So a quick reminder of what's happening in Stampin' Up at the moment. The designer series paper sale continues until next Tuesday. So I will give you a reminder, hopefully if I remember, about which papers are actually on sale. And the pack that I'm using this evening is on sale. So if you like what you see this evening, I'll talk about that anyway. I have a new host code for those of you who shop with me online and are not local, so I'll mention that. And next week the new mini catalogue and celebration promotion starts, so that's really exciting. But anyway, let's get on with this evening. So what are we doing? Apart from we're doing Christmas cards in July, the main aim... Oh, hi Donna. Sorry, people are jumping on and it's nice to see. So hello everyone. So the main aim of the Christmas cards this evening isn't just about Christmas. It's actually a lesson or a demonstration in production line stamping. So if you've got a lot of cards to do, might be thank you cards, it might be invitations, it could be that you want to do a whole load of birthday cards because you sell them at craft fairs, for example. You'll find the hints and tips this evening just as applicable, even if you're not making your Christmas cards. So before we begin, just bear with me. I just need really smeary glasses. This is really unprofesh, but I cleaned my camera lens, but I didn't clean my glasses. And I'm bad enough at the best of times without my crafting glasses. Okay, so let me flip you around and let's get on with the show. So spin the camera to the other lens and let me let me just spin you over so you've got a view of the desk. And let me just see, I'm just measuring that out for space so I can see my working space. That's grand. So just a reminder, if you shop with me but shop online and you're not local to me, and so you're paying for your postage and packing for delivery to your home, please do use this code when you are prompted. QS 7D 2GFQ, and that's current code for the moment. Always check on my Facebook page if you follow me on Facebook, because I always pin the new code or the current code to the top of my feed. What this allows me to do is to earn some extra credits, and I can get some goodies for you for free. So if you spend over £25 with me online, it means that I can select a freebie for you and I can send it to you in the post the following month. So please do use the code, and then that will allow me to send you a freebie, and you always get a hand stamped card from me as well to say thank you. So that's just a reminder of the code. Let's have a look at the cards. So these are really simple stamping. I've got two that have additional pieces. So there's a die cut piece and a punched piece on this one. And a couple of punched embellishments, but they really are simple, and these are flat cards to post. There's no dimensionals, no dimensionals, so they won't need a large letter stamp when you're posting them. So if, like me, I just wanted to remind myself, so actually I had a sticker in my diary, Christmas cards that I need this year. I need 14 special ones for family and 40 other ones, and I will do a further analysis of this, because I do have a Christmas book that I write down my cards. Out of that 40, some will possibly be hand delivered. I can't imagine that I post all 40 of them, but that's quite a lot of Christmas cards that I need to make. I've also got another sticker in my diary in September that says very clearly, write your Christmas cards, you know it makes sense. And that makes me laugh, because I am the Grinch, and the reason I'm the Grinch, or I have been the Grinch in the past, is because I get really stressed out about Christmas. There's such a lot to do. Everything happens in December. November is very birthday heavy for me, so I have lots and lots of birthdays to get done, and I just get stressed with the pressure of it happening for the whole of December. So let's get prepared. I'm going to teach you how to do a production line. So I'm not just going to make one of each of these 3 designs. I'm actually going to show you how to make 4 of each of these designs. But obviously once we get cracking, and you can see how easy it is to make 4 of each of the individual designs, you will see how to step up that production to double it to 8, or 6 or 8, and we're going up in 2s because you can get 2 cards out of 1 sheet of A4 cardstock. So let me pop the designs to one side, and I'm going to introduce you to the materials that we're going to use this evening. So in terms of materials, I'm going to use a pack of designer series paper, Tidings of Christmas. This is in the annual catalogue. So in the annual catalogue, we're not waiting for the Christmas book to start for this one. In the annual catalogue, there is this fantastic suite of products. Included in the suite, if you want to purchase the entire suite, the stamp set, the dies, the designer series paper and the ribbon, then you can do. But if you just want the designer series paper, at the moment it's on special offer. Tidings of Christmas, it's a 6x6 inch or just over 15 centimetre square pack, and at the moment it is £9.14, so it has 15% off, and you get can never remember how many, but anyway we'll have a look at it and I'll show you how many. So that's on special. I'm using that one, it's out of the annual catalogue. I'll come back to the stamp sets and things. So I'm using the pack of Tidings of Christmas. Let's have a look at that so you know what you're getting. So in the pack you get 1 design, 2 designs, 3, 4, 5, 6, and of course our designer series paper is always double-sided. So 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12 different designs. And you get, I'm just going to try and count them because I know I've used some of them. I can use that one. So you get 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. So you get 8 sheets of each double-sided design. So it's a nice pack, brilliant size for card making, and I'm going to use it this evening. So I'm also going to use a bit of gold foil cardstock just for a little bit of embellishment. We don't need too much of that, so if you've got some in your scrap box, it's good to get that out. We're going to use some basic white cardstock for the layers. So each card has a coloured card base, a white layer, bit of DSP, and perhaps some extra over the top. This one doesn't, it just has some additional designer series paper, a bit of gold glinting there. I'm going to talk to you about that in a bit. So we need some basic white, I've got some extra out for stamping, and then we need some coloured card bases, and I have chosen, of course, in every pack of designer series paper it will tell you what colours are in the paper, in the printed paper. So in this pack we have Cherry Cobbler, Evening Evergreen, Misty Moonlight, that's the blue colour, Sahara Sand, Soft Succulent and Whisper White. It's actually basic white now. So I've picked out of those colours listed Cherry Cobbler and Soft Succulent, and I also thought that this colour, it is Just Jade. I thought that Just Jade actually popped quite nicely with this piece. So I've picked that out as a sort of slightly brighter option for the green side. So let's get cracking with some cutting. So the first thing we need to do when we're doing a production line is let's prepare all of our bases. Oh, hi Jennifer, I can see that you've just joined. Don't worry about being late, you're here now, so that's fine. So let's prepare our bases. Now I will bring in my trimmer. So this is my stamping trimmer, and I'm going to just cut one sheet, but then I'm actually going to bring in my guillotine because some of you may already have a guillotine, some of you may not. The stamping trimmer will trim one piece at a time. And of course with all the bases I'm not doing anything fancy, I'm just doing regular card sizes. So I'm going to take each A4 sheet and take it into half. So I always cut just before 15 centimetres. I don't even look too closely at exactly how much, but just before cuts it in half. Good enough for me. In fact, that's pretty much bang on. So I've now got two pieces out of that sheet. What I'm now going to do, I will just score one, and then I'm going to score each individual card blank at 10.5. So that just takes it simply in half using the scoring tool that's on the trimmer. For speed, when I do production line, because I have a large guillotine type chopper, I'm going to bring in the big chopper, and that's this type of cutting guillotine. So it has a long handle with a blade. I'm just going to tilt it for camera purposes. So it has a large blade, and it comes down and slices, and I could do several pieces at once. This was a Stampin' Up guillotine. It's no longer in production or sale, but the same kind of guillotine is readily available on the market. I can't sell you one, but you may already have one. For speed purposes, I'm going to actually cut all of my base card using my big chopper. So I'm going to actually do 2 sheets at a time. Actually, I'll do 3 sheets here. So I've got my Just Jade and 2 pieces of Soft Succulent, and I'm going to pop that on the guillotine. And that is, I'm just going to slide that forward, see if you can see that. That's just before the 15 mark. I'm going to use my guide piece that holds it still, and I'm going to chop straight down, and that cuts me all those pieces at once, and I'm going to now cut my last 2 pieces of cherry cobbler. So taking time just to make sure they're squared up, held down with the guide piece and a firm chopping action to get them chopped. Now of course I need to score them, so I will bring back in, I've actually got 2, excuse me, rattling over here, I've got 2 pieces of equipment that I can use. I'm going to bring in my scoreboard. This is exactly how I prep for events, classes, etc. When I'm doing multiple cards, I use my big scoring scoreboard. Now this is still available, it's in the annual catalogue, and it comes with the inches and the scoring, just get it, the scoring tool with a ball scoring, what am I trying to say here? 2 ends, a smaller end and a larger end for scoring. It has non-slip feet. What else can I tell you? It has a storage compartment at the back. I've taken mine off because it used to get on my nerves and I don't store anything in there. And it also comes with some little pip markers that you can pop in this if you're scoring something at regular intervals. You can actually pop a little marker in there. Mine have long since been lost somewhere or they're stored somewhere else, so I actually use broken off cocktail sticks. They work perfectly well. I've added the metric plate, so this is a plate that goes on top and that helps me score in metric, and I'm going to pop this in. I'm hoping that the camera can pick up at the very top the measurement. I'm just going to look for, I've marked it in my regular score lines in Sharpie marker, so I just go ahead and pop them on individually, and you can just talk amongst yourselves, just have a little catch up with how you're all doing. But with production line card making, what you want to do is do the same step all at the same time. You don't want to make each card individually. You might want to get one designed, so you might want to actually make your first card first and get it designed like I've done and get yourself happy with the design. But then what you need to do is do all of your production actions at the same time. So there's my one that I scored earlier, and as you can see, although I'm scoring them individually, you can see that that didn't take very long at all just to score all of those. So let me pop my scoreboard out of the way. I do love my scoreboard and I do use it a lot. I don't use it a lot on camera because it's a large piece of kit and it's difficult to demonstrate on the deck here. So now I'm going to just, I know I've got some of these mixed up, so I'm just going to put all the same colours together. So I should have 4 of each. There we go. And I'm just going to pop them together. So I'm getting myself organised. This is all about being organised. I've now got my card blanks, 3 different colours, 4 of each. I'm now going to cut my white layers. So for each card I know I need a white layer. The only difference is I decided to cut this one slightly smaller so that you could see more of the DSP. So I'm going to go ahead and chop that as well. So I'm going to bring in my trimmer again, just so that I can show you the sizes. So I'm going to take my basic white cardstock, and for this I need 1 sheet per design because I'm making 4 cards and I can get 4 out of each one. So I need 1, 2, 3 sheets of white. And for 2 of the cards, the layers need to be the same size, and they're just a centimetre smaller than the card blank size. So if I remind you that that's 15 centimetres by 10.5. So I want to cut my white down to 14, and we'll just move that along, and 14 again. So we're just doing the same measurement. And then I want 9.5, 9.5. These pieces go in my scrap drawer for sentiments. 9.5 by 9.5. Now I just want to do a quick hands up. I'm just going to pause there. Is anybody making along with me this evening so that I know how to pace myself? I've got a number of you watching, so if you just say yes if you are making along with me. I'll just pause there, and I know there's a delay, so I'll just wait for that delay. And I'll just have a small drink while I'm waiting. No comments so far. And then I know that I can work at my pace, which is fairly quick. And just so that I can demonstrate to you that actually making a good number of cards in one batch doesn't have to take all day. Okay, I've got no comments, so I'm going to crack on. So I will continue trimming these pieces of white because I'm nearly there. So I want 14. Remember, this is for my second design. So let's say that we've dealt with that one. So for my second design, and if that helps you to be organised by just sorting your cards, then please do that. So that's 14. I've moved it along so I can do the second one at 14. I'm going to turn it, and it's going to be 9.5 by 9.5. Who's singing carols while we're working? 9.5 by 9.5, and that's our 4 layers for our second design. So that's those two. I can pop those to one side. Now this one I just shortened, so I know it's going to be 9.5. I will double check with my trusty ruler. 9.5, and I did shorten it to 13. So last piece, 13. Move it along. 13. And then 9.5 again. Well, if you're singing carols, that's great, but I reckon it's still a bit too warm for mulled wine. Okay, so that's lovely. So now I know that I've got my 4 pieces to stamp. Mum, you're not making along, you're being a Grinch. Good for you. Oh dear. So I'm just going to move all my little bits of scrap white to one side. I will pop those in my scrap bin, and they will come in for sentiments later on. So let's recap. So far we've got ourselves really well organised. We've now got our 3 different colours, 4 of each card bases. We've also got our pieces to stamp our next layer. So let's go ahead and we'll cut down some pieces of designer series paper. You might also, one tip from me, you might also find it useful if you're doing a production line to maybe have some plastic boxes that you can put each, if you've got 3 designs, kind of, or 4 designs, put them in different plastic boxes just so you don't get muddled up and everything's nice and neat together. And the one box I use, bear with me and I'll grovel under the desk and grab it for you. The one box that I find really useful is these simply these takeaway tubs. Oh, that one's got embossing powder in. I'm not sure that one's much cleaner, but anyway, so as we've got 3 different designs, let's do that. So I can pop those pieces in there, those pieces in there, and that way we know that we're organised. You know, we're getting ourselves organised. That's what all about, what this session's all about, getting organised, feeling confident that you can make several cards of different designs, several cards of the same design, and you know what I'm talking about, all at once. So Jennifer says, you're not crafting along. I'm wondering if you can get metric Stampin' Up tools in Canada. Oh, that's a really interesting question. Yes, that is an interesting question, Jennifer. I'm glad you've put it in comments because I will find out and I will get back to you. And obviously, I'm not sure if you're a demo or not. I've got a sneaking feeling that you're a demonstrator anyway. I will find out for you. So I'm going to use, for this design, I'm going to use this design of DSP. And I should be able to get 4 of this size strip from one piece. So if I just remind myself of the measurement, I've got a feeling that I switched 2 inches. Did I? I've got a feeling that I might have just switched 2 inches on this one. Oh, maybe I didn't. Maybe I didn't. Anyway, if I bring my trimmer back in. This design is omnidirectional, so it doesn't matter which way round it goes in. And I cut this down to 10.5 because I want it to go right the way across the card front, like so. So this is my 10.5, and then I cut it down, I think, to 2 inches. I think that's why I went with inches. 2 inches, 2 inches. And that gives me a piece that goes all the way across. And then with this piece that's left, it's not going to be quite 2 inches, but I can cut that down to 10.5 and I get this tiny little bit that's left. So now I've got 4 pieces of designer series paper ready for this card, so I can pop that in with that box. For this one I used the cherry cobbler piece, so if I pull one of those out. And I didn't do 10.5 this time, I think I just did 9.5 to go across the white piece. So again, this one is, I think this is omnidirectional. I think the sprigs are going maybe that way. So let's start with it being 9.5 that way. And then, what did I do here? I just did that 1 inch. So I knew I could get, actually I can get 6 pieces. So I can increase my production line if I want. And you can see just how many cards you can get out of your pack of DSP. So that's 4 for this design. They can go in the box. My other pieces can go to one side. And for my last card, I actually used, and if I hold this very carefully up to the camera, you can tell that this isn't one piece, because if you follow the stripe right across, I don't think it quite matches up. I've got one upside down, because what I did with this one was I cheated entirely. I used this one. I wanted my stripes going across, and I actually ended up just chopping them so that I could just stick a little piece under each end. So I believe that that's a 1 inch strip as well. So I know I can do, this is going to be the, if I wanted to do the full width, it will be just shy of 15. So for the purposes of production line for this card, I'm actually going to do it full width underneath. And I'm going to do 1 inch strips. But you know, if I was using ribbon, this ribbon's a little bit more costly per inch than DSP, and I might want to be a frugal crafter. If I was crafting for a craft fair, for example, and I was making 20, 40, 50 cards like this, then I would still cut this piece of DSP down and just have a little skinny piece underneath and not the full width. But for the sake of making this evening, I'm only doing 4, I'm going to go for the full width, so that's that one. I also need a piece of this DSP for the sentiment on this one, so I'm just going to find that in the pack. Ooh, and there it is. That's that one, so I'm going to pop that in the box so I know I've got all my pieces together. I'm going to just pop that one over there. We can pop the DSP to one side entirely now. So let's recap. So far, oh, so you're a Canadian Stampin' Up customer. That's brilliant. Okay, yes, everything from the US is in inches. And I am I started school in the 70s here in the UK, so I was born in 68. And we literally, the UK had just gone, I can't remember what year we went metric, but it was only maybe the year before I started school. So, and the UK is a really funny place. We're part imperial, we're still driving miles, and then we do yards and metres for roadworks, and inches and centimetres, but I measure mostly in centimetres because it just makes sense to me. Everything's in tens. I can't do the 16 thing and the 8 thing. So I will find out for you, Jennifer. Okay, so now let's recap. We've got our card bases, we've got ourselves organised, we've got our layers, we've got 3 little boxes with everything in. I've also got another box here that I've prepared, and all of my other materials are in the box. So what's in there, you ask? I have got my stamp set, which is poinsettia petals, and the item code for that is 158251, and there are matching dies. And the item code for the dies is 153522. Price in UK pounds, GB pounds, £25 for the stamp set and £33 for the dies. These were in last year's Christmas book, and they carried forward into the annual catalogue. So if we go to the annual catalogue and we go to the Christmas section, they actually carried forward into the annual catalogue here on page 92. Unfortunately, they're not available as a bundle with that bundle saving because they were a bundle in the last year's Christmas book, but they have carried over. And I wanted to highlight that because the new seasonal mini catalogue doesn't start until next week, and there's a lot of furore going on, lots of demonstrators demonstrating Christmas stuff from the new book. It's always exciting, but let's not forget our friends that carried over from last year. For example, I have this set with the matching dies, this set with the matching dies, this set with the matching punch, and it would be just so rude of me to not use them again. Apart from it being rude, you know, crafting is crafting, and the people who received cards with the poinsettias last year may not receive a poinsettia card this year, and the people who, you get what I mean. And I want you, if you made that purchase last year, to be able to still use your stamps and dies with confidence. So, from the dies, I'm going to just get out one die. We're not going to go mad with die cutting this evening. This is a production line. I'm going to get this outline die ready. I'm going to use my trusty whiteboard magnet rubber and just pop that on there so I don't lose it. So there's a tip, if you've not seen that tip from me before. The other big tip I'll give you is get yourself some sticky Velcro dots and put them on your die pockets, because it's so much easier than trying to find that little slot to put that tab in. It's changed my life. Izzy's life hack. So we're going to use a stamp set, and the stamps from the stamp set that we're going to use are already mounted on blocks. I'm going to use this large poinsettia. This set is beautiful if you like doing two-step, because you can layer up this big poinsettia and die cut it individually, but this is about speed this evening, so we're going to use this one large poinsettia and die cut it. We're going to use Merry Christmas sentiment on 2 of the cards, and we're going to use another sentiment on the other one. I'm going to get these stamps out first. We're going to use the berries, have a look, and we're not going to use that one for the minute. We're going to start with this one, so I'm just refreshing my memory. So we're not going to use the berry infill, we're going to use this little one. So it's this one here that is actually the filling in piece for this small holly leaf, but I'm going to use it as a background stamp. Very simple. We're just going to use 4 different colours of ink for all the cards. So I'm going to use Cherry Cobbler, Soft Succulent, Shaded Spruce for a bit of brightness, and Evening Evergreen. Now Shaded Spruce isn't a colour in the DSP, but we don't care because all Stampin' Up colours go beautifully together. So here we go. Let's get ourselves all organised and lined up. The other thing I've got out is the Expressions in Ink ephemera pack. This is a new pack of embellishments that's in the annual catalogue, and I'm just going to show you how you can mix and match. And if you've already purchased this ephemera pack, then all well and good, and we can use it on Christmas cards, because there are lots of things in Stampin' Up that we can use for other things. So I'm going to show you that as well, but not on this card. So I'm going to take a seat. I've been standing. I'm going to take a seat, and we're going to actually start with a production line. So I'm going to start with this card. So I'm going to take my bases in that colour, which is just jade, and I'm going to take my piece of, it's about half a sheet of basic white, and the first thing I'm going to do is stamp 4 of the poinsettias in Cherry Cobbler. So we're going to get them stamped and die cut, so we've got those pieces ready to assemble. What we want to do is get ourselves into a position where we're just ready to assemble the cards, and the assembling is all done all at once. So I'm just going to use a very straightforward normal stamping technique. It's a photopolymer stamp, but I'm not using the stamping pierce mat because I have stamped this image previously, and it doesn't need it. It stamps beautifully. Now it looks dark and it does dry a bit lighter, so I'm just going to stamp 4 of those. Oh, I've got a gaggle of geese flying over. Are they Christmas geese? Can you hear them? I'm wondering whether you can hear them on camera. So that's 4 large poinsettias. I'm going to close my ink pad up, put that to one side, and I'm going to go ahead and just die cut these as quickly as I can using my large machine. This will go through the small machine. I'm just going to twist it round. I have to keep twisting it until it, there you go, until it marries up. But I'm going to choose to use my big machine, which is just right over here to my left. So I'll leave you looking at the card. It's not even to my left, it's to my right. I don't know my left from my right. So please just talk amongst yourselves while I very quickly cut 4 of these. I could have done them, here's one I prepared earlier, but I wanted you to just experience the real time making. So that's number 1. You're very quiet. I wish I could hear everyone talking. It'd be so lovely. That is the only thing I really miss from doing lives, is the actual interaction with people. But as well as the pandemic situation at the moment, changing week by week, there's also so much more to putting on classes in person these days and being able to guarantee safety or work safely. I'm hoping you're picking up my voice because I've moved across the other side of the room. Public liability insurance, the terms and conditions for room hire are just so difficult, and the procedures that you have to do to provide a COVID safe environment are just proving a bit unfeasible for me at the moment, going back to in person locally. And then there's the old thing of confidence as well, you know. So here we are. That's 4 poinsettias stamped and die cut. So I'm ready now to stamp my background. So I'm going to take out my background pieces and I'm going to put my poinsettias in there. And I'm going to actually work individually, and I'm going to have my original laid out. Now, I just want you to feel confident when you go ahead and stamp your backgrounds, because you can see I've positioned some background stamping and I've positioned a sentiment. Remember, you've got an emergency side and it's only a piece of cardstock. It's not the end of the world, but I want you to get confident with just eyeballing. So because I've got my original next to me, that's a good thing. If I didn't have my original, what I would do, let me teach you, I would get my piece of DSP and I would position it roughly where I want it, and you can use a trusty pencil and you can give yourself a bit of a pencil line so that you know where you want your background stamping to actually appear. So I want my background stamping up here somewhere, and that was perhaps a bit high. Let's have a look. So I did that quite high. Merry Christmas. Let's bring that down. Let's flip that to emergency side. Let's bring that down. Give myself a pencil line. So this, you know, this could be your starting point, and stamp. Maybe let's have another one there and a little one down here. So we're just doing 3. Now while I've got this stamp in my hand, let's go ahead and stamp the other 3. Now again, I'm going to just eyeball it because I've got my other one next to me now, so I'm just going to go stamp, stamp, stamp. That's the background. Here we go. Stamp, stamp. You don't have to say stamp, that is optional. It might help you. So that's that image. I'm going to give it a little bit extra. Now this one, I think I actually used grey granite, but for this one I'm going to use soft succulent. So I'm just going to take this image and let's stamp off, stamp on. So let's bring in a grid sheet. Let's just bring in a grid sheet. We've got our 4 backgrounds, and I'm just going to add some extra interest. Stamp off and stamp on. Stamp off. And all it is a little bit of extra interest. And if you're at all worried and you want to know what's it looking like, how's it going to work, remember you've got another image to go over the top. You might not like the look of these stalks and things down here, but just trust yourself. Remember, you'll have already made your master copy, your design. You see, we like to just get going. We like to keep things moving when we're doing a production line. Ooh. Let's just add some extra interest. Just struggling for some reason to hold my stamp block. I don't know why. Oh, I didn't stamp off. But hey, it looks fine. We're all good. So now we've got our background stamped, we've got our focal point image stamped, we've got our DSP cut, we need our sentiment. Now we can choose to stamp our sentiment now or after we've stuck our DSP on. I suggest, if you feel nervous about stamping straight on, that we stamp them on now, because then you've still got the chance of an emergency side. So I'm going to use Evening Evergreen and the large Merry Christmas sentiment, and again I'm just going to go in, tap, 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 and I am hoping that this is straight, because again you've got eyeball and I'm not straight over it. So tap, tap, tap. You're doing good so far. Keep your fingers crossed for me. Here we go, last one. There's something really satisfying for me about doing a production line. I really enjoy it, and I'd actually be happy if I was doing 20 of the same. So now we've got all of our elements ready to assemble. I'm not going to assemble because I want to assemble all of my 3 designs all together. So we're all good to go with that one. We're going to now move on to this one, because it's the same the same kind of thing. Same but different, yay! So, let me just pop those there. Let me just pop those card blanks over there. Sorry, I'm just reorganising my workspace. So this is another card design portrait. I'm just going to glance at my, see if I've got any comments. Oh, hi Barbara and hi Lorna. Hello. That's great. I'm carrying on. I'm still in shot, aren't I? Yeah, my workspace is all good. That's grand. Okie dokie. So we've got the same sentiment for this one, and I'm stamping it in the same colour. So I'll leave that stamp ink pad and that stamp just to one side. I'm going to work on the background. So exactly the same principle. Because I've got my original here, so my design's already worked out, I can use that as a guide. If you were working for the first time and you hadn't worked it out, then you can use your DSP as your guide. You can give yourself a little pencil line if it just helps, and you can stamp your background. So for this one I'm going to use the same sprig in the same colour, which was Evening Evergreen. I'm going to introduce some shaded spruce, and we don't need this one, so I'm going to pop that to one side. We're going to use this image. Let me show you on the stamp set if I can find it. This image here, it's like a sprig of spruce with a little pine cone on the end. So I'm going to use this with shaded spruce. I'm going to introduce the red berries to the sprig of berries in cherry cobbler, and I'm also going to just introduce a little bit of gold bling to that. But let's crack on with the stamping. So first off, we're going to use Evening Evergreen, and we're going to use the sprig of berries, and we're just going to stamp that once at almost halfway. So I'm just going to simply stamp that on all four. It's pretty much in the middle, to be honest. Let me just get my workspace organised. 1, 2, 3, and remember that no two cards are exactly identical, but they're going to be pretty much the same. So that's my berry sprig all stamped. I'm going to add the berries now. Closing that because it's a warm evening. I'm going to pop it with my sentiment, so I'm good to go with my sentiment. And I'm going to stamp and infill those beautiful berries in cherry cobbler. Now this one is the beauty of photopolymer, is that they are pretty easy to line up. If you've got Stamparatus, you could equally use Stamparatus for this card. You wouldn't be able to do it for the last one because we actually stamp the image several times. But because we're only stamping this image once, you could use Stamparatus. So once you've got your berries in the right orientation, it's pretty straightforward to actually line them up. If you're straight, oh gosh, and I'm really way back, so I'm, you know, if I can do it in an awkward position with the camera above my head. Let me see. Lovely. I feel like this kind of stamping is bish bash bosh, you know, it's really quite simple. I actually personally find simple stamping most challenging because I'm an avid crafter and I want to chuck the whole of my craft room at every single card with every bit of bling that I've got available and tie a ribbon around it. So I'm going to stamp the sprig twice. So I'm going to stamp it once on a slight angle, full strength, and then once in the middle, second generation strength. So it just kind of gives a bunch effect. So ink up. There we go. And we've got our little background detail all done and dusted. We can close this one and we can just come back in now and do our sentiments, and then we're ready to assemble this one. Excuse me. Whew, it's warm in the craft room this evening. Am I still on camera down there? I'm hoping that I am. Oh, more geese. Is it migration time? Okay. So we're good to assemble this card. I just want to pull through this pack of the Expressions in Ink ephemera. If you have a punch and some gold, you can do some punched sprigs, which we're going to do on the last card. But if you invested in this pack of beautiful ephemera from the annual catalogue, you'll see already it comes with a pack of self-adhesive sequins in like an iridescent ice colour. They're gorgeous. And then you have all of these gold embellishments, and you get all sorts on each sheet. You get leaves, you get hexagons, you get sort of outline pieces. Let me just pull one of those up. So you get sort of like this outline piece. You pop all of this, and I've actually been keeping all of the waste from that as well. You know, all the bits that you pop out, like this little piece here. Just pull that out. So all of these little bits, because I know that I'll snip these and I'll use them. So I'm going to just show you these little sprigs, sort of like berry sprigs really, and I thought, oh, they'd be quite good for Christmas. So I'm going to pull out 4 of those. Let's just separate. So I've got one, there's another one here, there's one here, just a single one, we can use that. There's one here with some leaves as well, and we'll just pop that in the tub. And we might snip the leaves off and just use the berries. And what else do we have? You get several sheets in one pack, so it's really good value. Let's pull that double one out there. I think I've got 3 or 4 there. I'll pull that double one out. And they're laser cut. They've been cut by a laser, so they're fairly easy just to pop out. And I will just steal that last double one there. They're pretty easy just to pop out from the sheet. There we go. And I'll just scoop all of that to one side and tidy that up later. They come with tissue just to protect it, but I'll just tidy that later. So now we've got all of our pieces. We're ready to assemble this card, so I can pop that to one side. Let's move on to the last design. So we've got our pieces of white. We've got our original card here that we can copy from. Now this one has a little bit more stamping involved. We're going to work with the holly leaves this time. So we've got a large holly leaf and a small holly leaf. And then we've got a piece. Oh, we've got a different sentiment. And we've got a piece that actually, again, fills in the large holly leaf. And this bit that we used on the first card was designed to fill in or add colour to the small holly leaf. But I actually used the same one for all the different sizes. So it's pretty straightforward. Now again, I've got my design worked out. If I wanted to mark out something, I could do a little mark in the middle where my punched sentiment goes. But I'm actually going to eyeball it. I'm going to stamp 3 holly leaves up here and 3 holly leaves down here, and we'll just see how it goes. So I'm stamping the holly leaf outline in Evening Evergreen, and I'm going to do the infill piece with just jade, I think. Did I? Did I use soft succulent? I used just jade, so I'm just going to get that off my ink pads. So I thought it was a little bit brighter than the soft succulent. Okay, so Evening Evergreen. Let's go for large holly leaf up here, and we'll turn that round and we'll do a large holly leaf down there. We can go completely symmetrical if we want to feel a bit more confident, and we'll go in with a couple of smaller ones, one there. Now the only thing with production line stamping I found with 3 different designs was I've used pretty much every single block that I have in my craft room. So I've got little stamps on big blocks. So that's one piece. Was that big or was that small? That was big. There we go. Oh, jingle bells, jingle all the way. I've completely lost it now, haven't I? You know I can't have real music playing because YouTube would copyright me. Ooh, make sure that's inked. There's an awful lot you can do with this stamp set and dies. The dies are absolutely stunning because they cut outlines, and they also have embossing dies. You can make some really beautiful holly leaves to decorate, so for home decor for example. You can make some really super poinsettias, and if you use felt, you can cut felt with them and you can make some really gorgeous poinsettia flowers. So if you're into making your home decor for Christmas, it's a really brilliant set to get. I did do a piece of home decor last year, and I think I did, oh, I didn't do a public YouTube because it was a private class. Now let me just close that for a sec. And I don't need that again, so I'm going to put that completely to one side. So I'm going to use this infill piece, I'm going to use Just Jade. I think I used Just Jade. I didn't use Just Jade, surely. Let me just stamp. Excuse me, I'm just going to have a little stamp on my scrap piece because I'm doubting myself now. No, it definitely wasn't Just Jade. It must have been Soft Succulent. There we go, good to test. And really I ought to clean that. There we are. Oh, I seem to be having a bit of a frog. It's the warmth. So this, I'm stamping, I'm looking down the centre of the stamp, there's a sort of a line. I'm not going to go too mad about lining it up exactly, I'm just eyeballing it. Again, the beauty of photopolymer, the line down the middle gives you a good guide. But this is production line, so we just want to get on with it. I'm just trying to remember who's watching and who does craft fairs. So when you're making for craft fairs, you know, everybody wants everything for nothing, and our time is precious and valuable, so we need to be able to stamp with confidence, make with confidence, make beautiful things, but also for craft fairs not necessarily put all of our heart and soul into everything, because we save that just for the special people in our lives. You know what I'm saying. People want handmade, don't they, but they don't want to pay. And yet you go into the high street card shops and how much do you pay? Even in a supermarket for a mass-produced birthday card. I can't believe the prices. And here we are, stamping our hearts out. So now we've got our base layers. I'm going to add some little berries just to make that pop. I'm not going to call them holly berries. They're almost like a background piece. I'm going to just rummage in my box and find that little tiny stamp and bring my cherry cobbler back out. And for each of these background layers, we're going to just add a few red berries. Ooh. I'm ignoring that it didn't stamp very well, because if I go back in and try and overstamp it, it won't work. It's not the focal point of the card. The focal point of the card is the sentiment, and if we want to, we can try and cover that up with a bit of gold. But let's just keep stamping. And I've just put a finger splodge on that one. Just take care about your fingers. Now where are we? I've only been on air an hour, and if you think about the... Ooh, I'm not going to do that. If you think about my introduction, so I haven't been stamping for a full hour, and we've already almost got our cards, all three of our designs ready to assemble. Very almost. So the last thing to stamp, let's leave that cherry cobbler. We want to punch. Just pop that wet stamp out of the way. We want to punch 4 labels. And I will punch and stamp, punch first and stamp last. I would always advocate stamping first and punching last ordinarily, but we've got photopolymer stamps, so we should be able to line up that sentiment pretty well. So, warm wishes from our home to yours. And again, I'm trying to eyeball this. This is not easy actually, without being able to get my head right over it, but I'm just going for it. Ooh. Yeah, happy with that. That'll do me. Oh, it's a little bit wonky maybe, but let's go. Oh, I think Sue's watching. I remember Sue when she first joined my classes having collywobbles about stamping sentiments. Now that's just diabolical. That is, you know, ridiculously wonky. Get rid of that one. It's a piece of paper. It's not, you know, gold leaf or anything. So let's just try and, if I use my grid sheet, it might help me out. She said. That's a bit straighter, so we've got 4 sentiments. Good, good, good. We're all good. And the very last thing, I'm going to use another punch and a piece of gold foil cardstock. Now I could rummage in my scrap box, and I know I've got lots of little bits of gold foil that I could use up for this. I want 2 for each card, so that's 1 card. 2 cards, 3 cards, 4 cards. That's all our bits now. And that's the sprig punch, and that's in the annual catalogue. And this is the something label punch. Can't remember the name from the annual catalogue. So we've got all of our bits to start assembling this card now. We'll put them all in our box, and now we know that we've got all of our bits ready to be assembled. We could take our 3 little boxes and put on a film and take our Tombow glue with us, and we could sit in front of the telly and watch our favourite Christmas movie and assemble all of our cards. So that's the beauty of production line. Get everything ready, get everything assembled, get everything sorted, get yourself organised. But of course, I'm going to assemble these this evening here. So we need to take our card blanks, get them folded, a little burnish with the bone folder, get them laying nice and flat. And I will let you into a secret as well. When I'm posting Christmas cards, I actually don't always decorate my envelopes, especially Christmas cards, because there's just so many to do. We always decorate our envelopes. So I have my original in front of me just to remind me, and then we can go ahead and do the assembly. So I do the same action for each one. I don't assemble a whole card. I stick down the first layer and then for all 4 of them. So let's do that. So I'm going to use multi-purpose liquid glue. Ooh, this one looks really stuck up. And move those out of the way. I reckon I'm going to have to go for another one because that one's just completely stuck up. Where's the other one that works? I've got a glue graveyard going on. I've got more Tombow on order. I really do have a glue graveyard. But it does go on. You think it's done and then it just goes on and on. So here we go. You could use a tape runner if you prefer to do tape. Hoping that's just bits, yes it is. Oh, I'm having a minor panic attack that you're actually all still there and that this doesn't get too boring watching me assemble cards. I just really think it's good to encourage you to do stacks. Who is familiar with doing a stamper stack and is raring to go with it? And who has never done a stamper stack before? Let's have some comments. Now I'm going to pop my DSP strip across. Don't worry about the little bits, because I'm using multi-purpose glue. I will be able to just poke my sprigs behind, don't worry. So decide where you want to have your paper strip, and you could pop your bit of gold sprig on. I'm going to trim the leaves off of this one, but I will be using those on another project. You only need a dot of glue on the back, you don't need a lot, and then I'm just going to gently poke that behind. Job done. And I do think that little bit of gold just finishes it off. But we want to keep these cards flat. These are cards for posting. They're not cards for hand delivering, so I want to keep them nice and flat for postage, and actually flat and light. We don't want too much heavyweight bling in there. Just slide that in there. The last one. We did have another double one in there. Does anyone else get that? Oh, glue all over the fingers. Oh, I'm sure you do. So there's my original and my 4 that I've made. So there we go, 4 cards. I've got glue everywhere. I'll just pop that top on there. So 4, one design, done. Boom, I think is the word. Boom. Let's go with this one next. I'll just fold these and then I'm going to have a quick shufty at comments, see who's saying what, see what's going on with you. anything to watch with your bone folder, I can see I've got glue on this one on that side. Sometimes that can mark your card. So every so often I have a really good tool clean. I get my isopropyl alcohol out and I clean my snips, my bone folder, my trimmer. I am trying to make, honestly Mum, I'm trying to make you feel really, yes, I'm guilt tripping my mum. I sent my mum my last bottle of Tombow from my glue shop. I'm glad you're still watching, Sue, thank you. That's good that it's not boring. So same again, I'm going to just assemble, but I'm going to do one action for every card so we don't do the full card. So this one I'm going to just, let's have a look at Stamp and Seal. This is a Marmite product for some people. Some people just can't get the hang of the tape runner, and it just comes and unravels. Oh no, don't stick that down. I didn't stick my DSP underneath, and I've stuck the tape on the card. Why didn't you shout at me? Let's just pop this one over here. So for this one, we need to remember to put our DSP underneath first. Okay, and I will use liquid glue for this, so just give myself a bit of wiggle room. You don't need tons of it. Let's try and sort of go in the middle for ease. Oh goodness, that was a bit close, wasn't it? Whew. So Jennifer, if you're still on, what's the weather like in your part of Canada? I know parts of Canada have had real heat waves, really unusual. Whereabouts in Canada are you? I have some family in Winnipeg. My uncle and aunt and 2 cousins, and my second cousin, my cousin's daughter. Ooh. Little bit of wiggle room because I just nudged that there. That's it. Whew, I'm actually melting at the moment. I don't know what's happened to the weather. It feels so much like it's going to thunder, but I'm just about to wipe all of my makeup off, I think. Absolutely boiling. Whew. Right, now, see, I've used tape glue on the back of this one, and I can now pop this layer over the top of my DSP. And the reason I don't use tape as my preference is because if you do get it slightly on the wonk, like I think I've got that one, you don't have any wiggle room whatsoever. So for speed, I like to use my multi-purpose liquid glue. But honestly, Mum, please don't feel guilty about taking my last Tombow, my last full bottle, because I have, if I showed you the box of part used Tombow in my cupboard, you would gasp. I've got a big box that just has part used tubes from classes, and I do intend at some point in my life to empty them all into one, but you know, life's too short to decant Tombow. Whew, there are cards to be made. Okay, so now we've done that piece of action, we're going to actually go ahead and put our sentiments and our sprigs. Now the way I like to do this is in like a mini production line, so I will use a little bit of tape glue on the back and stick my sprig underneath like this. More geese, and then I can add this just straight onto the card like so. Job done. And this is why this is a love or hate product, because sometimes it just springs back in and you need to advance the glue. So I don't find it a speedy tape runner. It's very strong as well, it sticks to your fingers. It's a very strong tape runner. There we go. It's almost like it's got a spring inside and it just unwinds itself. Super speedy. But you could use double-sided tape, tear and stick tape is another good dry adhesive. You could use Tombow to stick those pieces on, but they do slip around with it being foil. They do tend to slip and slide, whereas I find that this just grabs foil really, really well. Bosh, another 4 cards done. So that's 8 cards in total. And our last assembly, nice and easy. Again, we're just going to stick onto our card bases. Let's get these layers, these bases nicely creased. So let's have a chat. Favourite Christmas movies, everyone? Let's have a list. Let me just stand and have a quick look at comments. You've had the thunder, now it's pouring. Oh, you're in the northeast, Sylvia. Please send it down here. It feels like it's about to thunder. It's gone really dark. It feels so warm, and I really, really wish it would pour it down. Oh, okay. Christmas Story. I don't think I've ever watched Christmas Story, the movie. Would you disown me if I said my favourite ever Christmas film? I like The Grinch, that is a fun film, but my favourite ever, it's really naughty, is Bad Santa. It's just so naughty, it's very rude. But you know, it makes me laugh. It makes me laugh so much. I like it when the little boy says, he said, did somebody drop you on your head? Bad Santa says to the little boy, did somebody drop you on your head? And the little boy thought he meant like drop himself on top of his own little head. It's so funny. Oh, it makes me laugh. It's such a funny film. Billy Bob Thornton. Very rude. So please everyone, now we've talked about rude films and fun things, so please everyone, don't forget, don't overlook the Christmas stamps and dies and punches that are available in the annual catalogue, because there are some really pretty ones in there. And yes, we all love new stuff, we all get excited for the new catalogue. I am exactly the same. There are some Christmas things in there that I really love and I really will have to have. And I will be demonstrating. But I couldn't leave, particularly this poinsettia set. I absolutely loved and adored it last year. And the snowflake set I haven't actually demonstrated because I did a swap. Didn't I, Mum? I did a swap with my mum. My mum bought it and I can't remember what I swapped you with. I bought another bundle and used it and liked it. And Mum bought the snowflakes and I wanted the snowflakes and didn't get them, so we did a swap. And I've just got glue on the bottom there, so I'm going to just leave it to dry. I'm not going to rub it because it's touched my sentiment. It will smudge. So I'm just going to leave that slick of glue. If I angle it, you might see it's quite a slick I'm going to let it dry, and then I'm actually going to just show you another little tip about glue. It's not the glue rubber. I can use the glue rubber a little bit, and I could blot it off. Actually, I could blot a bit of it. Be very careful if you go in with the tissue to blot glue, because you can end up with the tissue stuck to it, which I'm just starting to get there because it's drying quickly this evening in the heat. So I'm going to leave it to dry. Yeah, I just realised that I'd put it a bit too low, and then I moved it up, which is great. I got the wiggle room. I was able to move it up. And then I had a smear there. So again, with the poinsettia focal point on this, I'm just sticking it down flat for postage. So let's position that so we can see a good amount of the background, and it stands out against the DSP there. So don't forget, this DSP is new this year. This wasn't in the Christmas book last year, but it is in the annual catalogue, so it's new in the annual catalogue, and it's really pretty. The colours are beautiful. I think, Jennifer, you commented on my earlier post when I actually advertised I was going live that you love the colours. I think the colours are beautiful, and I'm going to want to make a card. I absolutely love blue. Blue is my favourite colour, so I'm going to want to make a card using that. I think it's Misty Moonlight is the blue in that set. So which is the one with the glue smudge? This one here. So with this glue smear here, I could wait for it to completely dry and then try and use my glue eraser. This glue eraser, which we used to sell. You can still buy these online from other craft stores. They're handy. You can take off some dried glue. There's quite a bit there, and I'm actually leaving bits of rubber behind. So let's just get rid of those if we can. Leave them to the end. Let's see. You do need to clean these every so often. So what I tend to do is just give them a bit of a snip on the corner and chop a bit of that rubber off. You get bits. So you can use your glue eraser, and that eventually, it's a bit of hard work, will pick the glue off. But if it's clean, I'm not sure if this is, if you've got your embossing buddy, you can also, I think I've actually got that dirty with rubbing it with the rubber, so I'll go back in with the rubber. But if you've got a smear of clean glue and you can't see any dirt on it, you can tap it with your embossing buddy, and it just stops it from being tacky, and it won't stick in the envelope. And actually, because Tombow dries clear, nobody will see it. I'm going to have to do some work now with the glue eraser, and it will come off. The glue eraser is brilliant for little tiny bits, but when you get quite a reasonable smear like I've done here, you just have to persevere and keep going. There. I think I've pretty much got it there. Yeah, it's definitely a persevering job. There's just a little bit left there. And I think it's because it's not properly dried, so I will leave that just to dry, and I'll have another go at that. And the one thing I will say is, if you get Tombow glue on gold foil, if you get on gold foil and you try and erase it, if you get some glue on, it makes it really makes a mess. And if you try and erase it, you will never erase it off. It will just spread it around, make it worse. It just goes horrible. So the thing to do with Tombow glue on foil, if you've just stuck a nice foil piece down, is to actually wet it. And let me see if I have got a just a spritzer here with just water in, and you should be able to, I'm hoping this will work on camera, you should be able to lift it off with water. It's not going to work on camera because I'm telling you about it, because Tombow is actually water soluble. It's not working on camera because I'm telling you about it, so that's just typical. I think it actually did just start to move there, but I won't bore you. Please believe me that if you do, and you do feel like you've spoilt a project, leave it a little while, but not to dry completely, and just try and lift it with a clean piece of kitchen towel and some water. And in fact, that's coming off now because it's water soluble, so that water has just softened it completely, and it will lift off your foil. So that's just a little tip. Please do give it a try, rather than, you know, sometimes I do say, oh, it's only card, it's only a bit of paper, don't worry, start again. But sometimes we do put our heart and soul into a project, and we might be making that special card for somebody, and we get that little bit of glue and it's just ruined the whole thing. Well, please don't despair. There's usually a way out of it. So let's just have a look at our stack of cards. So we've got, I've ended up with 5 because I have my prototype, and actually if you think about it, I started with a full sheet. So from the full sheet that I made my prototype, I've got another half a sheet across the way. So I could have ended up with 6 of this design, 6 of each design. So we now have, let me get rid of this. We now have 5 of each of the 3 designs, and that has just taken us shy of 9 o'clock. So right from the beginning, you know, just 7:30, I'm just going to plug my, oops, excuse me, I'm just going to plug my phone into the charger so I don't run out of charge. Okay, I'm just reading comments. I've stood up now, so I'm reading some comments. That's great. Yes, I love the penguins from the new book. I am going to just, let's have a look. I can't show you inside the new catalogue because we're not allowed to do that until it goes live, and I can't show you inside the celebration brochure until it goes live. But I can show you, and I think I shared with you last week, penguins. The penguins free designer series paper, and I'll be back with you in a moment. I'm just down on the floor in my box of new things. Penguin Play stamp set and matching punch and fabulous designer series paper. This is coming to you free designer series paper in the celebration, and the Penguin Play stamp set and bundle are available as a bundle with 10% discount. So that's a sneak peek, and I do happen to have a bookmark here that I made last week. So that's a penguin punched and stamped, and then this is a penguin stamped and punched. So you can see you can do both. So they're really cute. But yeah, thank you for joining me. I hope you've enjoyed the cards. I'm going to swing the camera back round. I am a bit of a hot mess. I'm a bit hot and sticky, so bear with me. Let me just take a seat. Whew, it's a bit hot here. Whew. So that was some Fast and Furious stamping, but I hope you've really enjoyed just learning how, get yourself organised, find a design that you love, look at your stamp sets that you've already got. Use your designer series paper, please, because it's there to be used, not just loved and stroked. And simple designs. We don't need to go elaborate for these stamper stacks. We need to look at simple but still beautiful, a bit of background, a focal point, a sentiment, a bit of DSP. And design yourself 3 Christmas cards. This is my challenge to you now. So design yourself 3 Christmas cards with a stamp set that you already have, and maybe some designer series paper that you already have, or if you haven't, why don't you treat yourself to the pack that I've used this evening. It's on special offer, on sale until next Tuesday with 15% off, and that is globally as well. So Jennifer, you'll find your local Stampin' Up! Demonstrator in Canada, and that offer is a global offer, so you should be able to take part in that and get yourself some pretty DSP there as well. So yeah, I hope that that's encouraged you to feel confident about doing a stack of cards. So how many can I cross off now? So I've got 5, I've got 15 cards that I can cross off my list. So that's good. And I'll be bringing you another stamper stack using the snowflakes. It won't be next week, so let's just, you know, have a little break from Christmas and do something a bit more seasonal or summery. And yeah, I will bring you another stamper stack, so that'll be another 15 cards off of my list. So then I'll only have 10 more to make for my postal lot, and I'll be getting there. And I will be writing my cards in September because I know it makes sense. That's brilliant. Okay, hope you've had fun. Hope you've enjoyed watching. Stay safe, keep enjoying the weather, and keep stamping. Lots of crafty fun. Bye.